Some 30 years ago, I got a directive for what I was supposed to do with my life. Essentially, it was to gather the heroes. Heroes being people who are self aware, high minded, service oriented, and create what you could call a conversation as if our lives depended on it. To see what we could do about this hurting world. How could we wake it up to where we care about each other as much as we care about ourselves? Well, I thought at this turn of the decade that I would review with you some of the things I've been doing this past year, uh, on top of the 29 years before that, all of which are trying to fulfill this mission. I'm still on it. The most meaningful thing in my own personal development, which is all part of this evolution, was something that I picked up from a screening I went to that I'm not supposed to say anything about because the movie is secret and it wasn't even finished. We had to give opinions. I loved this movie, and I was particularly touched by a scene at the very end where the main character, who's been rejected by this family, and the whole movie's about how he comes back to being accepted by them, except for one member of the family who does not accept him. And at the very end, he has a little scene with each of the main characters, which is very sweet, all about how you know, they're having a new relationship. But when he comes to the one who doesn't accept him, he starts out the conversation with her saying, I know you're doing the best you can. And then he goes on without any judgment, without any rancor, without any negativity to this person who really just will not accept him, and has a little chat, tells her a few interesting things. I just took away with that. Oh my gosh, everybody's doing the best they can. Not that that's the takeaway. Oh, everybody's doing the best. No, no. The thing I took away with was in my own personal relationships where that's challenging because you really want to have a different kind of reaction. No, no. Keep the idea that you're doing the best you can and just take it from there. You know what? It has really changed my life. Uh, that kind of goes along with something going on in the world that I've been very supportive of, which is that kindness is coming back into vogue. You see it in all kinds of things, little kindergartners, little school experiments, whatever, where they're teaching kindness. UCLA just got a $20 million grant for spreading kindness and making this a more humane world. This to me is a fabulous sign that the goodness is there underneath. It percolates up. We're not all in this dark passageway that we are in, but maybe the dark passageway is about really waking us up to the light. Who wants to be in the dark? So even the worst of what's been happening this year possibly is the best of what could be happening to us. In the course of the various kinds of things that could actually really make a difference to the whole world, something that I've been on for several years, it's getting more and more play in the world, is the idea of universal basic income. I did a big project about that 4 years ago or so, before anybody even knew what it was. But it's about giving every adult enough income so they're right at that poverty level. They'd have to live together, which is a wonderful thing to actually accomplish. We should all be closer to one another. Loneliness is one of the huge problems of our day. And if everybody had a little bit of money and pooled their money, they would do better. And even on top of that, it would turn us from being selfish people caring about ourselves to being a humane people. We care about everybody. That would be the most promising thing that I think could possibly happen, and I think it's coming. Mark my words, my prediction. Universal basic income will be with us within not too long, and by the whole world, in fact. There are experiments going on all over the world about it now. Now, another thing that could really help the whole world, that's my idea, I don't know why it isn't everybody's idea. It seems so logical to me. Does anybody need to be a billionaire? I mean, really, nobody needs that much money. It's, in fact, it's rather obscene for anybody to have that much money. And we all know how this concentration of wealth in just a few people with the whole, whatever, bottom half of the world in poverty. If I were the emperor, I would say no more billionaires. Got to give it all back. Got to put it all into service. You can keep 100 million, maybe, whatever the figure is. You'll still be really rich. Yeah, it's okay, have the really rich, but not have the extremely poor. You know, if we would divide the money in the world, if we would actually take care of everybody in the world, food, shelter, education, to me, that's what would actually let us have peace on earth. So I look for all the ways in which that kind of idea can take hold, and I can support it. You know, there are other things that I've gotten behind in big time, which are things that work in other places that don't work here. Like Norway has a 20% recidivism rate, something like that, and we have a 70%, something like that, in our prison system. Well, Norway operates very differently. Norway's all about rehabilitation. It's not about pounds of flesh. Here, no, we're going to punish people. Better to punish them and have the world not work than find a more humane way to deal and have the world be okay. We're crazy that way. We're just crazy that way. Short-term interest. Oh, well. Another thing that I have noticed in the world is that Japan has no school shootings. Do we talk about this? Do we have any conversation about how they do their gun laws in Japan? A little obscure kind of information that I came to my attention, I thought, and I've publicized it and tried to do something with it. Have you seen that anywhere? I mean, we are really crazy. But again, maybe this is the dark passage that will prompt us to find the light. Actually, I've collected what I call evolutionary ideas. Those would be two of them: how to reform the prison system and how to deal with gun laws. But a lot of other kinds of evolutionary ideas. Some of them are mine, and I've invited everyone, you're invited, to submit your evolutionary ideas. What are the things that could change the world? And on my website, I've got a whole raft of them. And I keep looking for more. That seems to me to be just the best thing we can be doing, looking for how to turn the world around. We can't keep going like this. You know, the disparity between the rich and the poor creates revolutions historically. And we are at that point where something's got to give. Something else that I've been paying attention to this year and doing things about is the power of prayer. You know, the biggest new project I've done this year that I'd love to turn you all on to is my podcast, Searching for Unity in Everything. That name is taken from my website name, which is Sue Speaks. Searching for Unity in Everything is Sue. And indeed, with my podcast guests, I'm always looking for evolutionary ideas. What can we do? And Larry Dossey's segment, that isn't up yet but will be soon, is all about the power of prayer and how Larry Dossey has gotten the scientific evidence of the fact that you can heal people with prayer, people you don't even know. It's a long story. You've got to tune into the podcast to find out about it. But he's gotten that into 50 medical schools. They're teaching that in medical schools. You know, things like that are such a positive sign that there is this well of goodness that is still there and comes out, and just more of it is what we need. You know, I have some ideas for the year ahead that I've had a lot of energy put into so far, and hopefully we can realize. One of them is a little local project, although it could be local in every city. It's called Making LA a Friendlier City. That would be a pilot for making all the cities a friendlier city. A lot of work has gone into that, and it will be launched this year. And I've also got a project about bringing all of the high-minded people together. This conversation as if our lives depended on it. Having a kind of methodology for, are we able, you got the Democratic Party, you got the Republican Party, how about the Enlightened Party? Just fanciful name, but how about, we're not collected anywhere. Nobody's got a focal point that we all can gather round. Because if we do that, we become a force. And we're the force for the kind of change the world needs. It needs to wake up to consciousness, to enlightenment, to the to the to the world that we should have, that humans were designed to create. And I have another project about this power of prayer. Can you imagine if millions of people focused on one thing? And we know that prayer can actually make a difference. It can actually have effect on the material world. Can you just imagine if we had this project and something happened? How it would change how we do the world. Well, these are the kind of things that turn me on. And please God, in this coming year, we will bring some of them to pass, all of them to pass. We'll turn the world around. Well, that is my high hope, and I do hope you will join me. What I'm doing is all about not me on a soapbox, but me as the caller. Call, come to me, come to the good causes, and let's make this the more beautiful world that our hearts know is possible.